There are different ways of organizing a C program that has multiple functions, but the rule is always that everything must be defined before it can be used. So that means that before a function can be called, the function must be defined in some way. Now there are two different ways that you could do this. One is by having the entire function definition first before the main function. But another option is to have what is called a function prototype before the main function, and then have the entire function definition after the main function. So here's what it would look like if we have the entire function before main. So we'd start by including our header files, whatever we need. Then we define our constants. Then we'd have the entire function definition, so the function header and all of the function body, before the main function. So we have the entire function definition up here before the main function, which is going to have its variables and statements, which will include calling the function that we defined up here. So that's one way of doing it. But do we actually need to have the entire function definition? What information is actually needed by the compiler in order to know that a call to the function in the main function is correct? Well, it's going to need to know the name of the function. It needs to know how many arguments there are, if any, and what their types are. It needs to know what type of value the function returns, if it returns anything. So all of this information is in the function header. The compiler does not need to know anything about the body of the function. So a function prototype is very similar to the function header, and it contains all of the information that the compiler needs. The function prototype has the type of value that the function returns, if it returns a type, or the word void if not. It has the name of the function, and then in parentheses it has not the parameter declarations, but a parameter type list. So just the list of all of the types of the parameters. And that's all of the information that the compiler needs. So the differences between the prototype and the header are that there is a semicolon at the end of a function prototype, not at the end of a function header. And again, that in parentheses in the function prototype, we just have the types of the parameters, not their names. So we don't have full declarations. So we can use a function prototype to define a function before main. So if we have a program with function prototypes, it's going to look like this. We start with our header files, whatever we need. Then we define our constants if we need any. Then we have the prototype for each of our functions. So that's going to be one line that is very similar to the function header. Then we have the entire main function, which includes calling our other function. And then after main, we have our function definition. So the function header and the entire function body. So again, by having the function prototype up here first, that gives the compiler everything it needs to know that calling the function down here is done correctly. And then we can have the entire function definition underneath the main function. So in a modular program, the main function just consists of calls to other functions that do the actual work. It's easiest to look at this code if you have the main function first. So if you have the main function on top of the code file and then the other functions underneath, it's easier to look at it. So putting function prototypes first and then the actual function definitions after the main function facilitates this.